Welcome back again, class, and thank you for joining me. This is going to be our last video for Chapter 11. You have made it. Now, today, we are going to focus on extraneous solutions. Now, extraneous solution, what that means is it's a solution that doesn't solve the original equation. All right, so a solution that doesn't solve the original equation. So let's take a look at what I could mean by that. So we set up our problems exactly the same. We're using cross multiplication. So here we have 6 times x plus 5 equals x plus 5 times x plus 3. All right, so here we distribute to get 6x plus 30. Here we FOIL, so x squared, and then 5x and 3x gives us 8x plus 15. So again, our FOILing process. And now I need to get everything to one side of my equation. So I'm going to subtract off 6x. So that's x squared plus 2x. And I'm going to subtract off 30. So I get minus 15. And that's how I'm going to get it set equal to 0. And now that I have it set equal to 0, remember the next step we take when we have a quadratic left is factoring it. Quadratic trinomial, so to factor this thing, we get x and x, two things that multiply to negative 15 and add to positive 2. We get x plus 5 and x minus 3. Use our zero product property to solve. So we get x equals negative 5, x equals 3. Now, the reason that I bring up this extraneous solutions is because take a look at what ends up happening. If I have negative 5 and I plug it into my original equation, what ends up happening? Well, when I put negative 5 in the denominator, wouldn't that make me divide by 0? So we have an issue here. We have one of our solutions. However, when we plug it back into the original problem, we can't use it because we would end up having to divide by 0, which we know we can't do. So we only have our one solution of x equals 3. A negative 5 is what's called an extraneous solution because we can't end up actually using it in the problem. All right, let's look at our next one. So, and I'm going to make a little bit more space by expanding the page. So again, we set up all of these exactly the same. Cross multiplication. So x minus 4 times x minus 2 equals negative 2 times x squared minus 4. And let's see what happens. So this side we can FOIL out. We get x squared, negative 4x minus 2x is a negative 6x. Negative 4 times negative 2 is plus 8. Here we distribute, so we get negative 2x squared plus 8. And now we are left with a quadratic. So I want to get everything to one side of my equation. So I'm going to add 2x squared to both sides. So we get 3x squared, have our minus 6x, and I'm also going to subtract 8 from both sides. And it actually ends up just canceling it off from both sides. So I already have 0. Now here, we do have a quadratic. However, notice my variable is in both terms. So I can actually pull that variable out along with my 3. So I can pull out a 3x. I can factor that out from both of these. So I'm going to have an x minus 2 left when I do that. All right, zero product property says set both of those equal to 0 now. So I get x is 0, because 0 divided by 3 is 0. Add the 2 over. But let's be cautious here. Look what happens if I try to plug 2 into my original equation. When I plug in 2, notice that would make me divide by 0. So, in actuality, I can't use that 2, because if I did, I'd be dividing by 0. So that means my only real solution to this is x equals 0. That is my one and only solution to this problem. So, and that is actually all the notes for this section. You have survived Chapter 11. So thank you for joining me for this last one. Please make sure you have both of those examples written down, and then we will do our practice work in class tomorrow.